Welcome back to Shore Sports Talk here on 94.3 The Point. I am Vin Ebenau, and joining me here to give a little recap of Shore Conference athletics is Beth English from Manalapan High School Athletic Director and David Zwirz from Colts Neck High School Athletic Director over there, also part of the Shore Conference Athletic Committee, and I've had him on a couple times to talk about this fantastic mental health program that they've had and how they're helping student athletes. We're going to take a look at that, plus taking a little recap, a little victory lap, if you will, around the track of the Shore Conference school year here and everything. So before we dive in, Beth, David, good to see you again. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Thanks for having us, Ben.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
So is it a celebratory lap around the school now? The school year, done, or, getting ready for summer, take a little break?
End of the school year is always bittersweet because, it's saying goodbye to a group of athletes and a group of students that you've, grown to respect and in various aspects. So it's a little bittersweet, but you're excited for them. But it never stops. The cycle keeps going. So one class graduates, you got a new class coming in, and that's the beauty of our gig here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's definitely bittersweet because it's exciting for them that they're moving on, and it's exciting to honor them, with different things, whether it's championships that they won or district medals or senior athlete awards. But it's also sad because you really enjoyed watching them, some of them for 4 years. So. No.
What was it like for a lot of oh, I'm sorry, David.
No, go ahead. I was just saying it's definitely bittersweet.
No, for sure. Yeah, you want to help celebrate, their accomplishments, the team's accomplishments, especially those moving on. But for the seniors, do you find that, I guess, in the spring athletes that it really hits, especially the seniors, maybe they play multiple sports, but all of a sudden, baseball, softball, whatever, they're like, oh, wow, this is my final couple games, my final couple weeks. Now the school year is over, and now it's summer. I'm going to college or wherever else. That it hits the seniors, especially in the spring, with whatever sports they've played over their high school careers, and now they're moving on.
I would definitely say there's a different vibe when it comes to the end of the spring season, just because of all the end of the season awards, the end of the year awards. It just starts becoming finalized and countdowns. And I just think the vibe in the school community is different. So it's that finality that is that you see in the spring that you don't really see in the fall and winter.
I agree. I think, especially the spring teams that are fortunate enough to qualify for tournaments, especially state playoffs, you can tell that the seniors are really they're just focused and more focused and locked in really than any other game, because they know it's ending.
What has been some of your advice to some of your senior athletes or other seniors that have given each other some advice, either inside your schools or within the Shore Conference to say, hey, this is it, let's give it our all? I mean, what are some of the key pieces of advice you like to give senior athletes as, going into the school year or certainly throughout the course of a school year or toward the end of the school year to, bestow on them some kind of wisdom to play hard or, hey, give it what you got?
I really try and preach a perspective shift where instead of focusing on the end result, really focusing on the journey and the experiences and the connections and the relationships you have. Because really down the road, you're not going to remember the score of the Middletown North game, but you're going to remember the relationships you've had with your coaches, and your teammates and those bus rides and those pasta parties. So I really try and preach, embrace the moments, embrace those memories, and not really end on those results. Because even in a professional setting, there's only one team that ends on a win. In every sport, every season, professional, rec league, high school, there's only one team that ends on a W. And, if we're only focused on the victories in the scoreboard instead of the growth and the reflection aspect and the life lessons that sports innately brings to people's lives, then we're failing as educators. So because that perspective shift, it really comes from society. So I'm just trying to shift that where it's not about the end result, the stats, the wins, the losses. It's more of the journey and the experience and how you grow. as a teammate, a human, a friend, and as a person. So that's really what I try to, focus on and preach as an AD.
I would agree. I think it's you can get really caught up in the results and like did you win a state championship or a division title or something like that, and if you didn't, you're a failure, and that's wrong. And I think what Beth said is really true. You need trying to get these kids to be more process oriented and just embracing the journey and embracing the process, because that's all there is the everyday. Because all of a sudden, when you lose that state playoff game and it's over, the result wasn't everything. It was everything that you did up until that point. And that when you realize that, you want them to realize this now as young adults, not realize it when they're 70. That you don't want to just be looking for something that might not happen. Embrace what's happening right now. And the relationships with your teammates are things you'll never forget. I mean, I know, Beth can probably attest to this too. I still talk to my high school teammates. I'm still friends with guys that I played basketball with in high school. So, because you'll never forget that. You'll never forget those tournaments where you stayed over and went to a diner for breakfast together, and just any of those team building things. And, that's more important than, what your final record was.
And it's different for each age group, right? So with the seniors, you're trying to say, all right, this is the end of one chapter, but your brightest chapters are yet to be written. So you want to take what you've learned and just grow off of that and become better. But then you have the underclassmen where I'm like, how do you want to be remembered? You know what I mean? That power and control is within your hands. You want to be a good teammate, then be a good teammate and be remembered that way. That's right there. So again, the life lessons, like, you show me who your friends are, I'll tell you who you are. Like, who are you aligning with? Whose advice are you taking? And then there's kids that do want to play on another level. You want to be recruitable, you have to be a good teammate, because guess what? You might be a big fish in a very small pond in the Shore Conference, but when it comes to reality, everyone can hit a three-pointer and people can hit line drives. Are you coachable? Are you positive? How do you react to adversity? Are you coachable? Those intangible qualities are the recruitable qualities, and recruitable kids become employable adults. So if the quicker we learn these qualities, hone these qualities, the better. The more you realize and magnify your strengths while you're working and pinpointing your weaknesses, that's golden. The quicker you learn that, the more successful you'll be. And that's all we can do is preach that, show that, model that.
It's very well said, both of you. And just developing that athlete as a whole athlete, not just what they can do on or off the field, but just that being a good teammate, developing different skill sets, learning different roles. You mentioned the big fish, Beth, in the, I guess, relatively small pond of the Shore Conference, and a lot of great athletes within the Shore Conference. But it's like, knowing different roles on a different team. You may go to a college and play whatever, different part of the batting order or a different position, and, be asked to do different things. And then it's like, okay, what kind of athlete can you be? I feel like sometimes, especially younger athletes, maybe even professional athletes, think of, okay, I have to be the best player on the team. I have to be able to do this, and that. But sometimes all you got to do, not to, I guess, make it too simple, is just be the best athlete you can be the best kind of teammate that you could be too.
Yeah, I think that's most important. I mean, and that goes up to the highest levels. I mean, you look at who just won the NBA championship. You look at that. That's a really good example for little kids to see, or any type of kid to see that what kind of leader he was. Like he didn't really care if he scored. If he'd rather probably have 30 assists than score 30 points, because he knows that if he's distributing the ball and everyone's moving, that they're going to win, and that's all he cared about. And anything you hear about him is that he's an excellent teammate too. So,
well, it's even my coaching days, right? You have different types of leaders, and you should have different types of captains. Like there's some captains that are just your true leader. There's some captains that are the rah-rah guy, the hype squad guy. Then there's the captain and the leader that just does it by work ethic. Hey, listen, I'm kind of a shy guy, but I'm just going to lead by example. I might not be the guy who's sitting next to you talking you up, but I'm going to show you and lead by example. So there's different types of leadership, and there should be different types of teammates. The most successful teams are well-balanced teams where people own and understand their roles. We live in the 100-acre woods. I've said this when I speak sometimes at conferences. I say the world's the 1,000-acre woods, like the 100-acre woods. We live in Winnie the Pooh. You got to have a Christopher Robin. You got to have a Tigger. Sometimes there's an Eeyore, but it's all about knowing your role, how you all work together. And, if they make it work, anyone can make it work. So, it's managing personalities, and balancing them when magic happens, but there's a lot of reasons why people fight the role. They either are jealous of someone else's role. They go home into their car and their parents, they might be the Tigger, but their parents want them to be, the Christopher Robins or the Winnie the Pooh. And, it's not easy, it's not easy trying to be something you don't want to be, where you're trying to develop who you are. So when you don't know who you are yet, and then you have an idea of what you should be, I always try and say, let go of the expectations of what you think life should be, because once you let that go, it could be even better than expected. So never limit your mindset, your abilities, or your role, but just understand and magnify your strengths while you're doing that.
You mentioned it earlier, Beth, with the recruitment. I want to direct this question to both of you, get your takes on this as well. I know certainly college signing day and all that stuff has, long since passed and everything. But whether it's the signing day itself, the recruiting, working with colleges, D1, D2, D3, for both of you as athletic directors, what is that process like with, getting the student athletes to sign with colleges, or helping them out, answering any questions that they have about playing at the next level, or what that's like, or what they need to do? How big of an undertaking is that for athletic directors like yourselves or others?
I think it's more of a group effort than like something that we solely take on. I think the guidance counselors are well versed in what they need to know for that. We also have, at least in our district, we have specialists in that department who know the ins and outs of NCAA eligibility, and they go over it. I mean, we had a webinar, or we had an in-person meeting with our district specialists this year, just so we're aware of what it is. But a lot of times, we'll defer to either him or the guidance staff, because they're more of the boots on the ground in terms of that. I mean, we can give advice too, as in terms of if any of us played in college, or any of our coaches played in college. I mean, they talk to the kids all the time, whether it's anecdotally or otherwise, in terms of advice. But I would say it's definitely a group effort with that, and Beth can elaborate.
It's also balancing the high standards with realistic expectations, because I think in the society that we are living in right now, it seems like it's an easy task just to continue your athletic career. And the reality is it's not easy. It doesn't matter. It's a special thing, whether you're going to play in a community college, whether you're going to play club, D1, D2, or D3. Like, it doesn't matter. The fact that you're continuing your athletic career is huge. And for some people, they're not proud of the community college baseball team, when that's ridiculous. That's still, because I think it's been ingrained in people that, like, oh, I'm going to get a scholarship, I'm going to get a full ride. That percentage of high school athletes that actually do that, it's like 3%.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So not managing high expectations, yes, shoot for that, but also being realistic with the goals, because you don't want to set up athletes, for failure, or to be, have resentment towards that. But the reality is, the percentage that actually go D1 on scholarships are extremely low, and no one talks about that. They just talk about, like, oh, won't it be great? Oh, he's all state, he's definitely getting a scholarship. Or, you hear stories of like a 10-year-old travel league kid that's already verbaled. Like,
oh, wow. Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, he's already getting looks at. Virginia's looking at him. Really? Like, okay. So it's those unrealistic expectations, managing that. And even though keeping that standard high, but you don't want to set up kids or parents for failure, because the recruitment is happening at an earlier age, less high school, it's more travel, or AAU type is where the true recruitment happens. So through our office, it's making sure that everyone's following the rules. They know the eligibility, they know what they have to get done, they know, and just keeping open lines of communication for sure.
Are there some things that you'd like athletes that are underclassmen or juniors that are going to be seniors to kind of think about over the summer months, so that when they come back in the fall, if they want to try and play at the next level, or just some, I guess, general guidance that you want some of the fall athletes to know, both of you, some things that you want them to think about over the summer months, so that when the new school year begins in the fall, they're ready to go. They have a better idea about what to do in terms of developing their athletic skills and maybe what they want to do after high school and so forth.
My biggest thing that I ask all students, and especially student athletes, is make a list of what they want out of the college experience. Like, I'm very close with my family. I knew I was going to stay close. I needed to be a drive home so I could be at the weekend. I could have dinner with my family and not be put out so much. But, do you want a big football school? Do you want a smaller campus? Like, you need to know what you want out of the college experience, not just athletics, because it could shift. Being a college athlete, it becomes a job. They kind of own you a little bit. Like, you get up early, you're running, you're working out. You have to have study hours with your team. You don't like your teammate, you don't vibe with your coach. It could not be the happiest experience for you. So if that's not going to be the end result, you have injuries, you have, people that lose their spots in college all the time. So I don't want them to make a decision solely based on, sports, packaging, or financial. Now, that helps a lot.
Sure.
I know that's a big factor for a lot of families, but the reality is you can't put a price on your experience, your happiness, and what you want. And I try and tell kids, I'm like, listen, you're going to work for the rest of your life until you retire. So if you have 4 years built in there where you can actually make choices for your own happiness, do it.
Yeah.
Be responsible, set up what you want, but it's more what you want out of the experience. Do you want to be close to home? Do you want a big sports school? Do you want to be close to the city? Those are the factors those environmental factors are the most important, more than athletics, but again, we've highlighted that so much. We've made it such a priority that's where the stress and anxiety live to it, because that priority is so magnified.
Now, over the summer months, what are some of the things that you would do as athletic directors to, I guess, go back over the school year, what happened, and then prepare for the new school year in terms of some of the fall sports that happen, with teams or athletes getting together, I guess, between July and August, football, cross country, everything else, starting to get practices underway in the summer. What is all that like for you in terms of, overseeing that, organizing anything, being involved in the process, and just making sure that everything is, getting ready for the fall season?
I think the summer is really important because as athletic directors and as administrators, we have to take some time off. I always make a point to use some vacation days in July, because that's really like the 1 month where there's really nothing going on in terms of like the athletic calendar. Because then August, we're back, like full boat. August 7th, football starts. So, we really can't really take a lot of time off in August, because we got to be here to make sure, everybody's cleared, has their physicals in for fall sports. But I think this summer is really important because you actually have time I know personally, it's nice when the building's quieter, because you actually have time to go back and look at everything. Like, do any forms need to be updated? Do any of my processes that I have in place need to be updated or changed? Because there's actually not 100 people coming through my door every single day. Like, during a school day in the year, you're just managing. You're not really doing anything. Like long term, you don't have time to. So like the summer is when you can revisit some of those things and go, okay, what were some of the things that worked and some of the things that didn't, and what do I want to change before we start? Because August 7th is right around the corner, and there's 100 football kids on campus. So, and then you're back, and then you don't have time to do any of that all over again. So it's definitely finding a balance, and maybe I think everybody's different, but I think that is important for everyone.
Beth, is it just as quiet in your office in the summertime, or do you like crank up the music?
I'd say the amount of visitors is significantly lower. I have to agree with Dave. It is a revolving door here, but that's also an aspect of why I love my job. Like I want to be the safe zone in the nest that people come to. It's great. But I drive in jamming out to my music, and I think I know what my day is going to be like. And it's just laughable because before you even walk in, I still have my bag on me and you're rifling questions, putting out fires, and forget it on a game day if it starts raining. Like that's just forget it. It's going to be an ice cream for dinner night. So you have that kind of aspect, but it is nice to recharge those batteries, and do the things that you just can't prioritize, because part of this job is there's always balls in the air, and you just have to prioritize and get done first. Like that's constantly thing. Like I got to prioritize, got to get this, got to get this. So, reordering those banners, might go to the bottom of the list, in October when you're trying to put together a homecoming barbecue. But in the July, you're like, oh, let's do it all at once. Let's get it on. And that's a different satisfying feeling. Like,
okay.
I just checked that box off, and that's great. And then honestly, a lot of times in the summer, a lot of the stuff that I'm dealing with is the new parents to the high school experience. So it's their first high schooler coming in. There's phone calls I get, I'm sorry, I just don't know. And I'm like, well, why would you? That's okay. I'd rather they call me.
Right.
I was like, we'll walk it through. So those kind of things, it's really nice. But to recharge that and have some personal time is also good. But July is definitely a quiet month.
There you go.
Different.
I'm sure somewhat eerie, I guess, too, with it being a little quiet at times. We've certainly, the three of us have talked about over the course of the last few months or so, the different programs that you've worked on together and with the short conference athletics and everything, mainly with the student athletes saying that they wanted to address, mental health and making sure that everybody was doing all right and had that outlet to tell school administrators and athletic directors what was going on, what they'd like to see changed and everything. Then the question for both of you, as we start wrapping up here, is whether it's solely that or something else, in looking back at the school year, the fall sports, the winter sports, the spring sports, now that you're going into the summer months here, in looking back at everything that was accomplished at Manalapan High School, at Colts Neck High School, across the entire short conference with athletics, what are some of the things that you're most proud of? Some of the teams, some of the athletes that you've seen grow and develop over the course of the school year?
I'll hit this one first. I think as a short conference, what I'm really proud of is us as a group supporting each other, and really we don't have any boundaries right now. If we're going to try something, we're going to shoot for the sky, and we're going to feel supported, which is great to be able to do that. I know personally, the short conference ran the first women's leadership, women in sports, as a short conference this year, and to be part of that experience was really good. And to see female athletes bond with each other and connect with each other, I think that's what I'm the most proud of, is that we've connected kids that are similar from different communities with same objectives, but showing that differences can balance each other out, and there's still a common ground in everyone, and we can listen, not to accept, but maybe to understand. Like, I don't need to agree with everyone, but if I understand where you're coming from, instead of arguing. So like, if we listen to hear and we listen to agree, if we listen to hear and listen to understand, that's a huge aspect. And to start with the leaders of the short conference, whether it was the student ambassadors when we had meetings, the student leadership women, that was great. And those conversations open more conversations, and that becomes contagious. And that's what I'm really proud of, is just being part of the change, because it's not us leading it, it's us all together part of it. We're just listening to the needs of our student athletes and fellow athletic directors. We've had some really open, honest, vulnerable conversations, and that's where it really starts. So I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of what the Shore Conference is doing, ambassadors, the women leadership, and then Manalapan High School itself. It takes time to turn that culture. And, the more we see each other and lift each other up instead of putting each other down, that's the best. Because I think the mentality is, instead of hyping our own team up or our own selves up, we tend to push people down to lift us up. And, to switch that perspective. And I see that in kids, the whole no names, no numbers, nothing negative, no negativity. That is becoming a trend now that I don't even have to say it anymore. They're like, oh, I get it, English. I know, no names, no numbers. My bad. I'm sorry. So just trying to establish that and getting the human capital in my 2 years in Manalapan, I think was so important. So I think it's been a really great experience here at Manalapan, but Shore Conference this year has been exponential with growth and reflection. And I'm just really proud to be part of it.
Yeah, I would feel the same way about a lot of things. I think the Shore Conference, accomplished a lot of really good things this year. The women in sport was one. The student ambassador program, student athlete mental health subcommittee, the things that they did, just exposing people to information and the resource guide that they compiled, and other things like, participating in the Monmouth County Schools, mental health symposium that night at Brookdale. That was really powerful too. So, again, we're blessed to be in a conference that supports us and really, every time we come to them with something says, yes, let's do it, because the Shore Conference is, as a leader in the state, needs to set the trends with things like this. And, they really are doing so. So that's important. Personally for me in our building at Colts Neck, I'm really proud of everything we accomplish every year, no matter what. But we were, for the second year in a row, the B North Sportsmanship Award winner. So that is really important for me. That's more important really than any state title, and any success we have. I mean, that stuff's all great too. Don't get me wrong, but when we win sportsmanship awards, that's awesome. So, I'm really proud of not only our players and our coaches, but our parents too, because they have a part in that, because they're on the sidelines and, they're just as big. So, really, really excited and happy about that.
Excellent. Beth, David, great work over the course of the school year. I've had a pleasure talking with you about any number of topics and everything. Wish you the best over the summer months, and definitely look forward to catching up again with you both. And, come the fall, we'll talk some fall sports.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate you.
That is
awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for helping us spread this platform. It's important. Thank you.
My pleasure. Go Shore Conference.
You know it. Woo!
That is Beth English from Manalapan High School, David Zwirz from Colts Neck High School. More Shore Sports Talk on 94.3 The Point, sponsored by Shoreline Wealth Management, right after this.
Whether you're in the early stages of investing, getting ready to retire, or planning your estate, you need a financial planner who will guide you on a clear path with honesty and transparency. Shoreline Wealth Management understands that you're more than your money, and they strive to help you realize your best life as they align your finances with your goals. Best of all, Shoreline's straightforward approach will include you in the process. Shoreline Wealth Management is your financial anchor, committed to helping you weather life's storms. Visit ShorelineWealth.com for more information today. ShorelineWealth.com. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC.
Let's face it, investment concepts and financial planning can be very intimidating and confusing. Shoreline Wealth Management addresses that feeling head on. Their goal is to educate you while offering financial advice without buzzwords and jargon. Shoreline includes you in the process and makes you comfortable every step of the way. Shoreline Wealth Management is your financial anchor. Visit ShorelineWealth.com for more information and start your financial journey with comfort and security today. Shoreline Wealth Management, with offices in Manchester and Manahawkin. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC.